Thanks for the opportunity to talk about Virginia Court. It's one of my favorite things.
Not to interrupt, but make sure you speak up so we can hear you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
So this is just a little bit about who we are. Our vision was developed my first year: educate, prepare, inspire. And those words mean something really specific to us. And our Wildcat way of how we do things here at Virginia Court are organized around educate, prepare, inspire. Our mission and our purpose statements have actually been recently revised by our ILT, but so we're still kind of under construction with revising those as we try to just distill our values and what's really important to us in our school. We were really pleased last year this year to achieve an improvement rating. I think everybody on this call knows exactly what that means and how high the stakes were for us. So we were pleased to hit improvement, and we are very well aware that our work is not finished, but we see that we are on the right track. This is our CMAS data from last year. Our ELA, our median growth percentile, was lower than it was in math. We know that last year we were on year 1 of really having alignment in literacy across our building. And with the adoption of the Teachers College Units of Study, it's a very challenging resource, one that requires a lot of professional development and a lot of collaboration. So I think that was part of the reason why we didn't see as strong of gains in ELA. It was probably November before our teachers really started to kind of understand what was happening through the lessons and how the standards were sort of coming across K-5. We saw a similar trend the year before in math when we had our first year of alignment with math. We saw a little bit of dip in our data, and so we're very confident that in year 2 of this new adoption, our ELA scores will kind of fall in line. So again, with math, we were on year 2 of having an aligned approach, an aligned resource, and an aligned way of doing the work in math, and we saw that come out in our data. So our scores are not yet where we want them to be, but we can see that we are moving kids. Some persistent areas of concern, and when we start talking about how are we going to move that bottom 5% and move the top 5%, these are some things I'm really thinking about. One is that our students with disabilities persistently score in the does not meet category across the board, and that's specifically our students with a specific learning disability just tend to score in that lowest category. And so you'll see in our 90-day plan how we're calling out some actions around that. And then the other piece that we're really taking a lot of care with this year is how do we help our students build their capacity to read at the text complexity called for in their grade level. We know that every test is a reading test, and so when our students are not strong as readers, that can be very demanding for them. And so we're really taking some strategic actions to make sure that our students have opportunities to read grade level text, and that as well as text at their independent level, and that independent level continues to grow steadily throughout the year. Another piece of data that we think is promising and will show that we're going to be able to scoop up those bottom 5% and then move 5% more into meets is our iReady data. So just looking at where our kids came in last year, on the left there is reading, on the right is math. And so you can see in window 1 last year, at this time, we only had 9% of our students in tier 1, and this year we have 14% in tier 1. So we know that over time, we're moving our students through the tiers by every measure. And then we can see the same thing in math, that a year ago we had 5% of students in tier 1, and this year at the same time we had 8%. And then that reduction in tier 3, I think is significant too, from 58% to 51%. This is our 90-day plan. So we have 3 big rocks. The first one is around aligned and rigorous instruction. We are continuing our work that we've been doing in terms of unpacking standards, paying attention to instructional frameworks, a lot of work around lesson planning. And so these critical actions are sort of the new pieces that we're taking on and incorporating as we continue with those other practices. So one of them is thinking specifically about our multilingual students and making sure that we are paying attention to language demands, and that we are planning explicitly for language supports, not only in the dedicated ELD block, but also in the embedded time of day. We're also taking on a focus around foundational skills, particularly in K2. We know that many of our students that struggle with reading have a gap with foundational skills, including phonics. And so doing some really intentional work with our K2 teachers in particular to strengthen students from the very beginning. We know across the district that our students start on read plans and never ever exit them. And so our strategy here is to just kind of preemptively keep students from going on read plans and having that significant delay in reading or significant deficiency in reading. We're also making some moves with inclusion in terms of our mild mod students and staff, and so folding in our mild mod teachers into PLCs, into data conversations, and you'll see as we go into Big Rock 2, some other actions that we're taking with our special education teachers. What we're finding with our mild mod teachers is that they've never had an opportunity to unpack grade level standards. They've been very focused on the specially designed instruction and have not had opportunities to really engage with grade level teachers around standards. So, so they are now involved in that work. And so that speaks to the curricular components of the instructional infrastructure. Big Rock 2 is culture of data. And so this is the data systems and structures piece that we're taking on. And again, continuing our work with data meetings, with strong interim analysis, with weekly data meetings. And so what we're adding to that this year is some common action planning across the building. So we've really tightened up how we analyze data. We're still kind of looser than I'd like around what do we do with the data and how do we plan those reteach lessons. And so having common ways that we action plan and common expectations, I think will bring us closer in alignment in terms of how we respond. Our students with disabilities will have their data examined not only toward their IEP goals, but also how those students are progressing toward grade level standards. So being able to take that dual look. And then really using Illuminate, trying to get the most out of Illuminate to help us see student data at a very high level in the building, as well as at a very kind of close view for classroom teachers so that they can see their students. So we're not only using it for interims, but teachers are starting to make some custom assessments and see what that can do. So having a stronger focus on those reports in short cycles rather than just an interim. And then also focusing on text levels, as I said. And then our third big rock is school culture. And this is one that we've been working on more loosely, I would say, the last 2 years, and we're really tightening up this year. So we're making some intentional moves around relationship building, students to students, students to staff, and staff with staff. We're talking about universal social emotional supports because we know many of our students need that, and so making sure we just have that tier 1 in place for students, and then continuing our work with restorative approaches. And again, student to student, student to staff, and staff to staff. Someone was in my ear this summer and said, our kids will never be healthier than we are. And so really making sure that our staff is healthy, feels connected to each other, and really have the sort of conflict resolution skills so that we can be models of that for our students. And tied within this, it's not called out in the 90-day plan, but it's part of my plan, is I think all of this work is a retention strategy. So when we know that when staff feel more connected to each other in the work, they're going to be happier and feel more efficacious about it. And so we begin every staff time with a connection circle, just to make sure that we all see each other and feel like we know each other in some form or fashion. So in terms of challenges and support, With HR and support team, I feel like overall I've received so much support this year. Anytime I ask for anything, people are ready to step up and help out Virginia Court, and I really appreciate that. Having that monthly time with my HR director is really helpful for just helping me to continue to think about staff retention, evaluation, any concerns that I might have with staff. She's just a great thought partner with that. Some challenges have been staffing our center-based program. Rachel Browning and her team have been incredible in helping us problem solve and work through that. We had a teacher resign in late July, mid-July, and we were unable to fill that position. And so they supported us in ultimately closing one of the classrooms and relocating students. But it was very difficult to staff that program, even to get people to apply. Another pain point was losing staff members after the school year started. So having a staff member actually in that DLC room be picked up by another school in late August was a real challenge. And then I would say Kelly Services, and so getting those high quality subs here on a regular basis is really challenging. My ask for support from HR and support team would be to allow us to maintain our current hiring practices. We've done a lot of things to really recruit and hire people who want to work with our kids here at Virginia Court, doing the work that we have in our building. And I feel so great about the staff we have. I hope I'm able to retain all of them next year. But if I'm not, I think it's really important that we be able to continue these practices of finding people that are committed to our community and the kind of work that we do here. Again, I would say Division of Equity and Learning, so many supports. Some things I haven't even had to ask for. So last spring, thinking about strategic response, I was going to ask for some things around our students with disabilities and the ESS. And ESS has really proactively come forward with many of the things that I would have asked for. So having that redesigned instructional support model, I'm really excited about that new coaching model and some of the work that we'll bring to our mild mod teachers and in conjunction with our general ed teachers. And then again, Rachel Browning and her team really supporting our DLC program and making some adjustments there to allow me to stay focused on the things that are really most important in our 90-day plan. Lots of support from our lead teaching partner. I apologize if that's not her title anymore, but Lori Large, I just want to call her out. She's incredibly patient, supportive, and really just wants to help us move the work on our 90-day plan forward. So I want to give her a shout out. Maya Martin Glenn has been a great partner in helping us onboard our new staff with iReady and come out and done some training with them so that they know what everyone else knows. And then she helped us with our Illuminate training as well. So I want to call her out. To that, having Illuminate as a platform has been terrific. I feel like we're more able to do the work of Bambrick Santoyo because the reports really lend themselves to looking at the data in the way that we need to. One question I have about that, as we're making some custom assessments, and this just came up today, it looks like the cut scores that are set by the district go across all of the custom assessments as well. And so I'm just wondering if that's something that can be addressed, because looking at just the top 1/3 of your students might not necessarily show you proficiency. So if a student scored 68% on an assessment, that might not be enough for me to confidently say that they are in tier 1 on that. But overall, we're so pleased with Illuminate and our teachers are really excited. MTSS support, our dean has received a lot of support from Jake. We've received a lot with our attendance work, trying to reduce our number of students that are chronically absent. And so Jamila has been terrific at coming out and helping to clarify and crystallize some of our protocols around addressing attendance concerns. We have a number of learning walks. We've invited instructional coordinators, and just some instructional experts around the district are so happy to come out and visit classrooms and provoke my thinking as I think about leading this building instructionally. And then, of course, my weekly time with Carol is a tremendous support, and just the continuity from one week to the next in our conversations is great. My request, like I said, I was really going to ask for some things around special education, but since so many of those are already being addressed, time, everybody knows it's our biggest resource. And so I'm curious to see if we might be able to partner with someone like Schools by Design to think about how we can better meet the needs of our students and our teachers in some non-traditional scheduling or some kind of creative way to use our day so that teachers can really engage in the work. As we're trying to dig into things like foundational skills, it's really challenging to do it in 40 minutes. And 40 minutes is about the most time that I ever have with staff outside of the 2 full days that we have this year. So sometimes we just need bigger chunks of time to get deeper into the learning, and we just don't have that opportunity. So that would be my only ask. And I think that's all I have.
Well, Kim, thank you. Our team is going to get together and go through all of the presentations to ensure that we're all on the same page. And specifically for the folks that you called out that you will need additional supports from, and those folks will reach out directly to you to plan around what the next steps will be, so that they are engaging directly with you and your team and your building. If it's something that deals primarily with me, I'll be connecting with your LCD to have that conversation on how to support it. The next time we come together, that conversation is around how are we doing based on the things that you asked, and how have we performed in making sure that we are supporting it.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, no, overall, I feel like I have a ton of support, Andre, and I'm really, really pleased to be part of the work that you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. This is a different way of doing business, and I mean, it gets us right to the point of what we need to hear, and it doesn't take you out of your building because that's where you need to be. So I hope that you appreciate that, and we'll be talking soon.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right.
Goodbye.